Can I thank Philip for that welcome this afternoon? It's nice to see. I thought maybe the chairman had mixed his name up because she didn't know whether it was Philip or Joseph with his coat of many colours. But they're colours which resonate well in my part of Northern Ireland, because we are proud to be British. We are proud. We have defied terrorist campaigns to remove us from Britain, and we will defy the European Union trying to shackle us as well. I'm not too sure why I was asked to start off today. Maybe it's because Ulster men are known for their penchant for saying no or for walking out. But I'm quite happy to say no to European interference, and I'm quite happy to see the UK take its opportunity in this referendum to walk out of an arrangement which is not good for our country. I don't know if you heard the story of the investment bank, the investment fund manager, the actor, and the former leader of the Conservative Party. You may think it's a bad joke, but actually it's not. It's a good story. Anyone who listened to Radio 4 yesterday morning, the interviewer, almost every person they had on, they tried to draw them on the issue of the referendum. And obviously to say something bad about the UK leaving. The investment fund manager said it wouldn't matter whether we left or not. Britain was strong enough to stand alone. Michael Caine said that he'd be voting no and getting out. And Michael Howard said he didn't see any chance of Europe being reformed anyway. And I'm glad that if there were 3 people on Radio 4 yesterday morning, there are 3,000 people in Kettering this afternoon who agree with that as well. And there are millions of people across the United Kingdom who want to take that opportunity. And as has been said, the referendum which will take place later on this year gives us the opportunity for the first time in a generation for the ordinary people of the United Kingdom to express their view and to exercise their opportunity to break free of the shackles of the European Union. For 40 years, our relationship with Europe has been decided by a small elite. Incompetent, national-hating, and wanting to have closer integration. But now is the opportunity for those people, businessmen who are sick and tired of being suffocated with European regulations, people from communities who have seen their community changed by wholesale immigration, people who are sick and tired of dipping into their pockets to pay for a European budget which is inefficient and in many cases corrupt, and people who have lost their jobs as a result of EU interference. Of course, there are those who would say that all we need to do is reform Europe. That's the Prime Minister's view. Well, he's going the wrong way about it. He promised us that he would be making huge demands from Europe. An end to the European Court of Justice interference in the role of Parliament. The final say for the UK Parliament on red tape. Control of our borders, and so the list went on. And what do we get? We got 4 anemic demands. And even those have been rejected by the elite of Europe. And, of course, they have no real reason why they should want to give in to it. After all, if you go into negotiations asking for little, you're going to get little. If you go into negotiations saying we don't want to leave, then what sanctions do you have? It's a bit like Jeremy Corbyn's submarines with no missiles. And of course, the Prime Minister knows he's not getting change. Those who support his campaign know they're not getting change. You and I know they're not getting change. And that leaves us with, and that leaves the pro-European cabal with a big problem. How do they persuade the many millions who are sceptical to join the campaign to stay within Europe? And in the absence of any good arguments, they have decided the baldrics, the pro-Brussels baldrics, have devised a cunning plan. And the cunning plan depends upon one thing: fear. Fear of change, fear of the future, fear of the consequences. I'm sure many millions of people over the next number of days will receive a leaflet through their doors from the British Stronger in Europe campaign. More like Britain Strangled by Europe campaign. Now, any of you who are observant will notice that I'm not holding up the said leaflet. I couldn't find a copy of it. I think the trading standards people have got to them first of all and decided that it's not to be circulated because, of course, if it was based on facts, then they couldn't make the argument. Tony Blair had a dodgy dossier before he entered the war in Iraq. I think that the leaflet that the Britain and Europe campaign has put forward would make Tony Blair's dodgy dossier look like a well-researched academic piece of work. But, you know, that's what... And it's full of factual inaccuracies. It's full of lies. We'll pay £450 more for our shopping. Where did that wee gem come from? It came from the European Commission. Well, would you expect them to say any more? We'll all be £3,000 worse off each year. And the fact check and Channel 4 said that it was based on no evidence at all. 3 million jobs would be put at risk because we would lose our trade with Europe. Do we really think Europe is going to close its door on trade with Britain when we run a 60 billion trade deficit with Europe? They might be incompetent, but they're not stupid. They'll be quite happy to take it. And of course, if we leave Europe, we are going to find that our security is impaired. Well, I think if we look at the number of criminals who are allowed to stay in the UK because of European court judgments, we can see how inaccurate that is. Or how can our security be impaired when we have got the events we had in Paris, where a bunch of terrorists roamed in and out and through Europe like a bunch of jihadist nomads and were able to carry out their acts of atrocity. Folks, we have an opportunity to reverse the trend. And this referendum is a great leveller. It is no longer the great and the good or the chattering classes or the political elite or any of those other groups who have so far dominated the debate who will be making the decision. It'll be the people of the United Kingdom. And every one of us have a duty to take this once in a lifetime and once in a generation opportunity. And to go out into the highways and the byways, the cities and the villages, the community centres and the town halls, the doorsteps of the nation, and tell people our time has come to loose ourselves from the shackles of a non-democratic, unaccountable, incompetent regime and to have our destiny decided by those who we elect to Parliament and by the sovereign Parliament of the United Kingdom. Thank you very much.